Afternoon. How are we all doing? Afternoon, JC, Ian, Alistair Baggy. How are we doing? Very boring morning today. Up, down, up, down. Going anywhere. Afternoon, Dion. So we had a good opening range breakout today on the DAX. Nice, quick, easy profit. I got out far too early. Went all the way down to ADR today. Big run, big run. ADR hit, which is unusual for the DAX. Well, to hit it in one session anyway. So, yeah, big move. But we've petered out now. So we'll see where we go this afternoon. There's not really been any news today. It's just one of those days. Nothing much has happened at all. We've been up and down, up and down. So news-wise, we've had nothing all morning, really. Bit coming out of Israel. Air raid sirens going off, but nothing really newsworthy this afternoon. It's a no news day today, so we've got no news at all day. All kicks off tomorrow, the news, so at 7 o'clock with the claimant count for the pound, and then we're into PMIs, CPIs, interest rates, GDPs, all sorts. So the entire week is absolutely manic with news. Almost every 3 or 4 hours we've got an impacted news event coming out. But today, nothing. So flat today. FX, as you can see with the indices, we've got quite a wide pre-market range for the US indices. They've done quite a bit of movement on that DAX drop that we had. So sold off across the board on the indices so far. So not far away from ADR, as you can see, on all of these today. So we're just shy of ADR of movement. So we'll see what happens at the open, but we have put a lot of movement in today. So we may not have an awful lot left in us, but we'll see where we go. FX hasn't moved. Oops. As you can see, pound US dollar is always a good gauge for how the market's moving during London. That's where we opened. That's where we are. That's where we've gone. Nowhere. So we've spiked up, spiked down, spiked up, spiked down. So basically we are exactly where we started this morning. So nothing's moving. A little bit of a rally on the Euro US, straight up into last week's high and rejected. Pound CAD is the only thing that got an ADR today. We looked at that one this morning. We were watching the Pound CAD this morning, hit ADR, and it came straight off of ADR, literally to the pip. But that's it, yeah. So nothing else. There's no RSIs to look at on the hourlies. Nothing's moving fast enough. So we've got a few 4 hours we can look at. But other than that, absolute rubbish today. Nothing happening. Outro took 6R on the DAX. Very nice. Excellent. Yeah, nice easy drop today, but I got out too soon. Wasn't expecting it to go that far, but you know, if we knew where it was going, we'd do it. Afternoon, Gregors. Afternoon, Brian. Round 2. We are. Afternoon, David. Had a beautiful buy on gold, made a ridiculous 8%. Good job. So we have had a bit of movement on a few bits and pieces. Gold obviously has been rallying quite hard. It's just had a reversal alert put in though. It's gone nowhere today. But potentially we're having a little bit of weakness coming through on that, but it's dependent on what happens with the movements in Israel, really. Oil, in the last hour, I've been watching this oil. So we had the gap play today. So I said, you know, this morning, watch this gap play. We may well just bounce straight out of the gap, which we did. We've just pushed down into today's low and immediately brought the whole thing back up again. So, you know, this is just typical of today. It's literally nothing. It's literally sideways. We're waiting. We're not doing anything until those PMI figures come out tomorrow. So, not expecting a lot of movement today unless something happens, but we will see. So we'll have a look through those RSIs in a minute. Haven't banked anything today. Pound Swiss is the only thing I'm getting close to banking. I was going to take that off this morning when it pushed up. I thought I'll give it the rest of the morning, see what happens. Back to where we were. Oil is not going anywhere. Pound US dollar was looking like I might get out of it this afternoon. Just nothing, is it? It's just utter rubbish. Very hard to make money when the market is not moving. Afternoon, Joe. Afternoon, XR update.news. Round 2. Ting ting. Seconds away. Round 2. Looking at the US indices, obviously we've had the big drop today so far. So from a support resistance perspective, we've got 4 minutes to the open. We're fairly close to last week's low on the Dow. Not last week's low, sorry, the week before. No, it's not. Excuse me. Tell how boring it's been today. I've been doing lots of spreadsheet analysis this morning, so my brain is fried. 3 week ago, low, basically, is where we're coming up to. So potential bounce at ADR would be nice and easy today. So if we break to the downside, target will be ADR. Upside, it's tricky because we've got the kind of move which started to sell off there and then they continue to push down on Friday. So really 150 ADR to the upside is kind of first proper what I would class as potential support, which may turn into resistance, that propulsion gap. But we've obviously got yesterday's high, which is all the way up there. The previous day's low, which is Friday's close, is there. So kind of 125. So I don't see any problem getting to ADR if it breaks long. But I don't think there's going to be enough momentum in the market today. So from the S&P, we've broken down a little bit below that low, but we've pushed back up against it. So this is the 3 week again low, pretty much the same as the Dow's down there. But it's actually invalidated that already and broken back above it. So we absolutely slammed through it today, and difficult to tell if that's a break or if that's going to bounce. NASDAQ's the same. We drew that area in on Friday. So I said, watch for a bounce off of this level here, and we tapped into it and bounced immediately on Thursday, and then we Friday, and then we slammed straight back through it, back into this support. So this whole red area here was this low, and all the way up to that high. So this is the area I was looking for potentially the buy up. So could go long from here. But obviously we're worried about why we had that massive sell-off this morning. So downside on this, be looking at today's low. If today's low breaks, there's nowhere to go. So NASDAQ and S&P both looking very, very, very weak. The fact the S&P broke out that low and really just didn't even look at it, did it? It just slammed straight through it. We have bounced, but not looking very strong, these markets at the moment. Very, very weak. So we'll see where we go. We've got 1 minute to go to the open. Pre-market ranges, too bad. I should be able to get on all of these today, I think. Yeah, all looking good. So should take all pre-markets today. Decent ranges. So we'll see where we go. Afternoon, Ismet. I've just been asked to do a podcast. Well, not a podcast, a webinar for some company in, well, apparently they're the largest trading website in Scandinavia. Don't know. But they asked me to do some kind of weird webinar thing in January, but I don't think it's really worth it. The amount of time I'd have to put into preparing something to do it. And they only get about 200 viewers, so not really worth the time. It's flattering to be asked. Afternoon, Danny. Right. Market's going to kick off in 5 seconds. Okay, long on the Dow. Why is that not triggered shorts? Weird. Why have we not triggered short orders there? Just getting ready to put some emergency shorts in place myself because I don't know why that's not triggered. $33,260. Invalid TP? Why? What? Buy stop. That's all gone in. That's fine. Where's the sell stop then? So bear with a sec. 30. Buy stop. Stop. Interesting. I don't know why that's not triggered sells on that. Has anybody else got that? You're trading this. Why can't I place any orders? What's going on? God. So I'm just going to manually put those in place just in case. So, yeah, looking like a hedge across the board today by the looks of things. Whippy open. That's weird. It's triggered absolutely fine over here on my other terminal. Look at this. This is nuts. That I got another account running over here. Yeah. Running exactly the same EA, exactly the same strategy, exactly the same settings. Yeah. On the DOW and the NASDAQ. Look. So there's the DOW. Triggered both orders. Absolutely fine. Yeah. NASDAQ. Not triggered anything because the range is too small. But the NASDAQ here, the range is absolutely fine. Just shows you the difference. This is the same broker. Different data feeds because it's a different account. But one, so basically same broker, one Prime account, one ECN. Prime account, totally different data to ECN account. One triggers a trade, one doesn't. All down to the data. This is why backtesting is an utter waste of time. If you're trying, if people are optimizing things, I've got to get exactly the right setting, the best setting, but it's not going to make any difference because what's happened in the future has got nothing to do with what's happened in the past. You will get triggered or you won't get triggered depending on whether or not you're using a Prime account or an ECN account. Go figure. So hedged on the Dow, hedged on the NASDAQ. S&P haven't triggered any trades yet. So I'm going to take the 5-minute opening range on that account. No, I'm not, because the weight range is too high. So I'm not even going to get into it over here. Shows you the difference, doesn't it? So I'm not taking the NASDAQ there because that candle is too big. Average range, max range is 498. And that candle has just gone in 560. 550-ish. So yeah, won't be taking that at all. There you go. US dollar yen, we'll have a look at that in a sec. Afternoon Crom. So I'm going to have to manually adjust all targets today because it's all gone wrong. Why is there only one trade on there as well? One buy order. What the hell? This is down to broker execution. It's got to be down to broker execution because I've got absolutely no problem on that account. This account, not interested. It's the same logic. Can't physically not work on one and work on the other. It's got to be broker execution causing this. Too much volume at the open, I think, is the problem. Other people have said they've had a problem where it hasn't triggered one side, and I'm triggering both sides no problem. Now I'm not triggering either side. Other people are fine. Someone's just messaged me saying no problem on the Dow. Weird. Got to be to do with this volume at the open, isn't it? Brokers just physically not executing the orders for some reason. Very odd. Anyway, right, short on the S&P. Dow's broken to the downside. So now I've got 2 triggered shorts and 1 triggered long on the Dow. I'll deal with that in a minute. So what I'm going to do. Just going to place another long, just in case. Come on, why are you not executing orders? What the hell is going on? Can't have this execution problem at the open. Time to switch brokers again, I believe. I'm going to have to get away from these clowns. They're going to execute my orders that slow. That was unacceptable. This is why this isn't working here. Or I'm going to have to switch it all over onto a Prime account. Hate changing brokers. Right, breaking short across the board. So, this might be actually a good thing today because obviously I've got 1 long on and 2 shorts now. I didn't look at that, whether I'd taken a single or a double short long. So that is actually playing to my favor if the break goes to the downside today. See where we go. So NASDAQ. It's tricky downside because there isn't a downside on the NAS today. We are at the lows basically here. So as you can see, if you scroll out, there's nothing to the downside. So you've got to go out to the 4-hour chart to try and find some kind of support. So where we are now, we've got this double bottom. If we break that today and flush, there's literally nowhere to go. There's no support until you get all the way down to kind of 125, 150 ADR, I guess is probably your best downside today on the NASDAQ, which is absolutely miles away. So we're looking at coming all the way down to basically there, which is a really old potential support area. So that's really all you've got to the downside on that one. The S&P is pretty much the same. We're out of these lows. There's nowhere to go, really. I mean, there is so many points that you could bounce here. You know, it's just we're going into an accumulation. So this could literally go wherever the hell it wants this afternoon. So it's impossible to pick a bottom on these today. So we just have to go with distance. ADR, we know obviously if we get to ADR, we're going to start to get tired and there's nothing to look at to the left. So it's just a case of when we get down to ADR, just watching price action really to see where we bounce today. But we've obviously got to get a break going first. At the moment, the market's really not interested in breaking either. So see where it goes. But downside, I think I got 2 shorts and a long on this. So tricky. Tricky today, isn't it? Have I not considered Darwin? Yeah, well, I've got an account with Darwin X, but the leverage is only 30-1, and the indices margin requirement is a lot higher. So what it means is I could trade with Darwin X, and Darwin X has got fantastic execution. Spreads are pretty good as well. The problem is the leverage. I've got 1 to 30, so I'd need to put a lot more money in in the accounts, basically, to cover the margin requirement, which isn't ideal because I don't really want to put more money in. But I might do a little bit of broker shopping. There's nothing wrong with the Prime account. But again, the Prime account has a higher margin requirement than the ECN. So I do find it hard to run all 3 indices in the afternoon on that account. I've almost got margin called on it. So it would mean reducing risk. But I mean, I've only got now a Dow trade on. There's no NASDAQ running, which is annoying because NASDAQ's collapsing. But margin requirement is 786%. So if I was to be running that, I'd be down to sort of like 350, 400% margin, which is, you know, if you get 3 indices running at the same time and they all get hedged, as soon as you take your hedges off, your margin requirement suddenly drops, or rather increases, or the margin level drops. So you can get margin called, unfortunately, which I have been on that account. And they shut your account, they shut your positions out, obviously. Okay, NASDAQ's coming down to support pre-market. So is the S&P. So watch this low. See if we get any bounce play here. If we don't bounce this and we come through this level, obviously these guys have got no support. So this could flush today. In the same way as we hit ADR on the DAX today. Yeah, we just immediately broke, didn't we? We flushed straight through Friday's low. We didn't stop. We had a little bounce and then we slammed straight down into ADR. So there's a good chance we might get a similar reaction to these US indices this afternoon. So hold on to your shorts and try and go for as much as you can if we break these lows. But they may well support these lows and we might just push back up into rotation today. So we'll see where we go. But looking bearish at the moment. This is almost mirror image of what happened on the DAX this morning. Here we go. So coming up to the lows, pre-market. Dow as well. Should really put the Dow over here, shouldn't I? Because we're not really paying any attention to the DAX in the afternoon. So we might as well put the DAX over there. Then my big head's not getting in the way. I'm also long the Dow with 1 position, short with 2 positions. Probably not a bad thing to be today, Amy. That's an accident, but a pleasant one. Okay, so there's the lows gone. Okay, low of the day gone on all 3 indices. Big push through this. So, really annoying that didn't take the NASDAQ. So watch this candle and the next 5-minute candle. See if we get any rejection here. See if we get any buyers stepping in. So we've managed to break that low, but doesn't mean we're going to hold it. As you can see, they're buying it back up at this level. So see if we can get through it or not. Afternoon, Virginia. Big crap day. Big crap today. 2 stops. Big crap today. 2 stops. A bit too much info, Jal. Don't really want to know about your craps. Afternoon, Kennelly. Looking at 14,500 on the NASDAQ. Well, we've gone past that, so 14,500 is up. Nice to get one more down candle just to get that target hit on the S&P and lock some profit in there. That will pay for the hedge on the NASDAQ and then kind of close that out. By accident, but an accident. Good accident. There we go. They're buying the lows up. So we've got some buy orders triggering, buy limits triggering at the lows. So we will see if the buyers can grab some back, but it's looking pretty heavy, isn't it? Okay, I'll let that play out for 5-10 minutes. Then we'll come back and have a look at that in a sec. Well, I'll keep an eye on it over there anyway. So, US dollar yen, somebody wanted to look at. We're not going anywhere on the US dollar yen. We're still stuck. So, totally stuck at the minute. As you can see, we are like contracted, not going anywhere whatsoever. Yeah. So, really, there's been no more word on intervention from the Japanese overnight. We haven't had anything for a week. They haven't mentioned it. We had a little statement came out last week where it was kind of one part of the statement and that was it. But no overnight news saying we are closely monitoring, watching, blah, blah, blah. Because look at the contraction on this thing. The ADR on this is 65. We're putting in like 30s, 40s. Yeah, so we're not even getting to sort of like 70% of its average daily range on normal intraday movement at the moment. We are just squashed, scared to death to drive it up in case they do that. No real reason to drive it down because the end's not strong at the moment. So we're totally stuck sideways on this thing. I'm just hoping basically that we get some positive US news this week, which is going to drive this up. And if we can get it driven up, the Japanese will drive it back down again. So it's, just want it to move. It's not going anywhere. Every night I hold this, it's costing me hundreds of dollars in swaps. So I just want out. But it's not got any movement. So, yeah, just really stuck on it at the minute. I've got my TPs on all three positions I've got short on at the moment, back down at the intervention lows. If we do get an intervention, it's going to go way beyond that. But I just want to be out because if I get down to there, it's just going to be, a bit of profit. But I think my real average, if you include swaps, is probably somewhere down there as a break even. So that would give me a nice little profit, but not a lot. So yeah, just one out of that. It's just stuck. US dollar yen. Absolute rubbish, that one. Good selling price action coming in on the Dow. The S&P and the NASDAQ, though, pushing right back up. But we'll see where we go. They're definitely buying this low. Blimey. Should have taken that profit, shouldn't I? So Dow basically just pushing back. Haven't made a new high on that. So at the moment, we've still got a minute left on this candle, but we're looking at putting an inside bar in at the moment by the looks of things. NASDAQ completely undoing that move. So this is the buyers all stepping in at these lows. So it looks like it's going long. So do I get out of the shorts now? Oh, blimey. That was a big order came in there. See that pop? Okay, fully hedged on the Dow now. So that's a proper full position on now. Take this. I'm just going to leave it. I don't no idea where that's going or what it's doing. So I'm just going to leave it there and just deal with the hedges later. Let's check the news. Right. So yeah, so I don't know where that's going, the US dollar yen. It's just totally stuck at the minute. So ADRs, we've got nothing to look at today because the market's not really moved anywhere. So I've got really itchy nose again. I'm sure I've got a cold coming. We've got a bit of movement coming through on the US dollar by the looks of things. Very whippy look. Big whip, big candles everywhere. Look. A lot of volume coming in to this market at the moment. Still no direction, but a lot of volume coming through. So So yes, there's nothing to look at really from anything else ADR wise. We've got all these RSI extensions which are set up at the moment, but they're pretty much everything we've been looking at for the last couple of weeks because a lot of stuff is just stuck. So 7R on the short. How can you make 7R on a short, Brian? It hasn't gone 7R by a long shot. No, you're obviously trading a different strategy to me. I'm going anywhere near 7R. Look at your history. My second long on the Dow was closed out by a stop loss I didn't set. I haven't got a... Not for me, it's not. It doesn't use stops. Well, I'm not using stops at all because I'm using fixed lots, so I don't have any stops in place. But yeah, it would have been a stop loss to calculate lot size. So it does if you're using the percent of equity setting, that has to place a stop loss to calculate your equity because it needs to know how to do that. Yeah, so it will place a stop loss, but then it immediately removes that stop loss. So I would suspect that the broker basically couldn't. I mean, this is the thing. What an EA does is it goes through line by line of code. So it basically goes, place a buy order with a stop loss there. Yeah. Line 2, delete stop loss. Line 3, place take profit. Yeah. If it gets line 1 executed and line 2 doesn't get executed, that's nothing to do with the EA. The EA is doing what it's told to do. If the broker, for some reason, is not allowing the EA to run, or the terminal, for some reason, is not allowing the EA to run, this is where these intermittent problems occur, like with me today. Only got that one, didn't go the short, and it only managed to place one order. Why did those manage to work absolutely fine and that one not? It's got to be something to do with latency delay, because the EA is exactly the same logic on all three of them, doing exactly the same thing. It can't work on one and not work on another. It does the same thing. I've had this on MetaTrader on my VPS with the market reverse alerts EA. So I've got the MRA running on an MT4 terminal with 28 FX pairs, and it gets through 15, 20 pairs, and then it stops. The EA just doesn't execute on the others, and it's basically just run out of processing power or run out of time. So either it's a broker delay thing or it's a terminal delay thing. And I suspect it's more likely broker data that's delaying the EA being able to run, because when it places an order, it has to wait for a response. If it doesn't get that response, it sits there and goes, where's my response? Where's my response? And then it will time out. So I suspect it's something to do with that. But I don't know. It's impossible to tell because there's no logging. It doesn't give you any information, does it? It doesn't tell you why something has or hasn't happened. It just doesn't happen. But one of the foibles of MT4 and MT5. Or the broker, I don't know. One or the other, isn't it? Got short mid gap on the M5. Mid gap. Well done, though, Brian. Money is money. How much leverage do you use? 1 to 500. Right. Sorry, let's just go back. So this is a total mess today. Absolute whipsaw, lunatic market. So just is what it is. Be a lost day today, unless we get some proper price action, which we'll have a look at in a minute. Wait for the market to calm down and see which direction it wants to go. So Aussie dollar Swiss is a 4-hour RSI extension. There's no hourlies at all. Nothing today. Again, we're not going to have any RSI extensions when the market's doing this. So, yeah, so we're not going anywhere. Therefore, we can't get extended if we're going sideways. So there's nothing to look at on the hourlies at all today. Aussie dollar Swiss is still just about extended on the 4-hour, but that is coming out of extension now. So we've got this lovely double bottom we put in today from Friday. That was when the RSI was extended. First entry was taken back here. I got out of another one, and with the anticipation of it doing that, and what we got was a huge sell again, basically the Swiss franc powering up. But that seems to be undoing itself. Now, tomorrow morning, we've got the, not tomorrow morning, on Wednesday morning, we've got the CPI, we've got the inflation figures coming through for the Australian dollar. So we've got a forecast to be bullish on Wednesday. So they're forecasting inflation to have gone up. So if we do get that increased inflation, we should get a positive move on the Australian dollar. They're forecasting a 5.4 off of a 5.2. Now, this is what the New Zealanders did last time as well. They were forecasting a 1.9. What we actually got was a 1.8, which was 0.1% down on forecast, but the New Zealand dollar collapsed on it. So this is a much more conservative forecast. We're only forecasting to go up by 0.3% quarter on quarter and 0.2% year on year. So this is more achievable. So with the Australian dollar this week, I think we can probably get a decent figure on these, which will give it a good rally, and that will help the New Zealand dollar along as well. So this looks like a really good W pattern reversal forming down here at these lows. And we're looking basically for at least a pullback on that move, if not a much bigger pullback and double top and go into a range here. The fly in the ointment on this one is the Swiss franc, because the Swiss franc is massively strong at the moment. So it's all dependent on what goes on with Israel and the Middle East as to whether or not they pile more money into the Swiss franc or not, and just keep it safe. So at the moment, it looks like it's kind of starting to unravel a little bit. All the Swissies are doing the same thing, but we'll see. So that's the 4-hour RSI extension. Already in this one, though, on the hourly, and this was basically we got in on the hourly on just before that drop. So I've got quite a few positions on the Aussie Swiss at the moment, long anyway. Swiss yen also extended to the upside. Lovely reversal alert we've had on that one. So there's your 4-hour. Literally, since that yen intervention move, the Swiss franc has powered up like a loony and hasn't stopped. So we're looking for a big pullback on this. If we're going to continue with Swiss franc strength and yen weakness back into there, if the US dollar powers up, we'll get some yen strength and we'll be all the way back down here again. So at the moment, though, it's a nice mean reversion opportunity. Just looking for some kind of pullback on that move. Only just extended, though, now. We were nicely extended on Friday, and it's obviously the move started to play out. But happy to short anything yen, but not long it at the moment. Euro odd. That one's just started to nice 3-bar reversal going in, so it's just starting to come out of the extension. So we're extended above the 75 on that one. 3-bar reversal going in at the moment. We've pushed up above last week's high. Nice pause and pull. So again, not far to pull back on this if we're going to continue this market structure. So it's very clean market structure on this. Yeah. So watch this high for a target to the downside. 5-minute reversal alert's already gone in this morning. All the way up there. So there's your reversal. We kind of retested it there as well. So just watch that high basically on the way down if you're shorting this. Either that one there or this high here basically. So we've got the high which is from Thursday's high, and then we've got that high which is the previous week's high, which is more likely where we're going to pull back into, I think. So about 125 ADR to the downside. Euro CAD also extended, big extension to the upside. This is really whippy, this at the moment with the Canadian dollar, with oil. What's oil doing at the moment? Not a lot. So yeah, Euro CAD very extended, not very extended rather, but was extended on the hourly back here. Didn't get an entry on this one, unfortunately, but still extended. Not really going anywhere at the moment. As you can see, this is in a big downtrend at the minute, but very big pullback, but it is a 50% retracement. So good chance that we might start a new down leg from here. Canadian dollar should be rallying with oil. Euro, not a lot at the moment. This market is in an absolute loony mode today. We've just basically rallied all the way up to yesterday's high on the Dow. Sorry, yesterday's low, Friday's low. Back up into this accumulation. No idea where this thing's going today. All over the place. So there you go. So there's that buy. Consumer confidence has just come out on the Eurozone. So there's that, the double bottom. Obviously, that was the buy. Should have exited the shorts, but didn't. Hindsight, beautiful thing. If I'd have exited the shorts, it'll be lovely today, but didn't do it. Should have taken that profit down there. Unfortunately, didn't. So yeah, EuroCAD, nice extension. Good divergence on this one as well at the moment. Nice rejection to the upside there. So nice divergence. But not really extended, and there's not an awful lot of movement to pull back on really here. So not a great entry EuroCAD at the minute. Euro New Zealand, much more extended. Beautiful 3-bar reversal potentially going in on this one as well. I've got another sell stop placed here. Actually, I'm going to remove that now. Yeah, I'm not going to put that one on as well. So yeah, got a nice reversal alert on that one this morning. That's the entry there. So the first entry was there, then we pushed up and invalidated. So there's your end pattern there. So looking for this to start a move down. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, we need that strength coming on Wednesday with the Aussie dollar CPI figure. So if that CPI figure comes out positive for the Aussie, that will rally the New Zealand dollar, which will push this one back down again. We've got loads of Euro news coming out tomorrow, though. So tomorrow, we've got the French and German PMI figures, 8:15, 8:30, just after market open. And then we've got the Euro combined. We've got Lagarde speaking tomorrow as well. Then we've got the Australian rates, German IFO. Then we've got Lagarde speaking again tomorrow evening. So there's an awful lot of Euro and an awful lot of Australian, New Zealand news coming up in the next 2 days. So both of these, doesn't matter, Euro odd, Euro New Zealand, they're all either going to go mad that way or mad that way, depending on what happens with this news. So we'll see what happens. But forecast, I think, should be long for the Euro, for the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, basically. So pound New Zealand, same thing. New Zealand dollar really, really weak. Pound's been pushing up nicely. Got one sell on that at the moment. Should be taking a second on that this morning. That's too close by the looks of things. 146. That was 96. Just going to put a manual sell stop on this on the 5 minute. What's that? 87. Reverse alert on this is just too close to get me in to a second one. If it rallies away, that's absolutely fine. It'll obviously give us a nice reversal. But if this does pull back from here, because it's such a big, long rally, this is 2 weeks now we've had New Zealand dollar weakness. I'm expecting some strength to come through. So I want to kind of take advantage of that strength if it happens on Wednesday. So I'm just going to add a second position on that one if we do break down today. So yeah, lovely extension on the 4 hour. That one, as you can see, nicely extended and embedded up here. So waiting for a pullback on that entire move. We had a kind of gap down there, but the actual move was there. So this kind of just did a little flag and then broke up again. So this whole move here hasn't had a profit take on it yet. So I'm expecting a quick move to the downside, probably caused by news on Wednesday. So we've also got lots of pound news coming up this week. This market's really bullish now. Can't make his mind up at all today. All over the place. We've got the claimant counts coming up tomorrow. We've got the PMI for the pound tomorrow morning as well. And then we've also got, I thought there was another pound news. Oh, no, that was it. So, yeah, tomorrow is all about pound. So, good chance if we get some negative news on the pound tomorrow. And then we get that positive Aussie news on Wednesday. We'll have a big, strong push to the downside on this one, as well as the Euro odd and the Euro New Zealand and New Zealand dollar Swiss. So you can tell it's all about the New Zealand dollar at the moment. So long on this one, 4-hour RSI extension, massively extended and embedded. This Swiss franc absolutely rallied like a lunatic off the Israel crisis. We had New Zealand dollar being massively weak at the same time. So much bigger move. So looking for a complete undoing of this, basically. At least a 50% retracement, if not a V-shaped recovery. Just need to wait for the move to start. So there you go. So there's the RSIs, but pretty much what we were looking at last week as well. You know, stuff that's got extended and embedded last week, come out of extension and re-extended again, because a lot of it is Swiss franc and New Zealand dollar related, because Swiss has been massively strong, New Zealand's been massively weak. So there we go. So that's the FX side of things. No idea where any of this is going today at all. Total mess, isn't it? TP suggestions for the S&P. Long. ADR, basically where we are, look. It's ADR. So I would probably pull TP down just inside ADR today. So assume we're going to get a bounce play off of this area somewhere. So I want to get out just before we get to that area. We've also got the pre-market high here as well. There's so much volume coming at the open here. It's difficult to know if this is going to be a big, strong trend day like we had on the DAX today, or whether this is just going to whip. If it's going to be one of those sessions, it's going to be one of those sessions. You just got to sit and accept it, basically. But if we do rally to the upside, I'll be looking at ADR for an exit. That propulsion move there started that drop on Friday, but it's kind of that whole area, really. So that's where I'll be looking at, just under ADR. Downside, I mean, if we do break that low now, it's going to flush. So I'd be concerned about trying to get out at ADR, because I could probably do beyond ADR today. Look at the DAX today. We got down to ADR very, very easily. But it looks like it wants to go long now. So NASDAQ upside, probably the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's NASDAQ and the S&P, pretty much the same trade, isn't it? So that's the support resistance area. So I'll be looking for something very similar to the upside, ADR-ish on that one. Pretty much the same play. Dow Jones, haven't got a clue. The Dow's a little bit more tricky today. So because the Dow's been coming down a lot harder than the others, ADR upside is a bit further away. So that low is a bit more uneven. It's a very similar move, but it's a bit more of a mess. This whole thing is kind of a big, strong accumulation. So that target where it is just above the pre-market high today, if we can squeeze all the way up to there, we're probably going to start to run into sellers that sold this area at that point and get a pullback. All you need is a pullback. Don't forget, you don't need it to completely reverse. You just need a pullback to exit the hedge. But we'll see where it goes. That's what I'm targeting to the upside. Downside, it's kind of ADR. But again, that's dangerous, I think, ADR. It's a bit too tight. I'll probably go further on. We'll see. But it's rallying to the upside anyway at the moment, so we haven't got to worry about downside because we're going long. DAX is running out the top as well. Got sniffles today. Guido, morning from Florida. First time in the live session. Just finished the position trading course and bootcamp. Cool. About 15 years of strategy hopping behind me. That's a long time. But not unusual. Hunt for the Holy Grail. Just checked. No gap on MT4 5-minute, but on Ninja I have one. Yeah, I don't know. You can only trade what you can see. The reason you get into the market is irrelevant, isn't it? What happens after you get into the market is what's important. US dollar weakening again. Much on the yen, but so euro US dollar pushing, pound US dollar pushing nice. JC got hedged on the NAS, took manual exit on shorts. Good job. That's what I should have done. Should have got out of that S&P. It's annoying when you identify it. Yeah, you heard me say it, didn't you? Watch this area here for a bounce. It's likely we're going to find limit orders down there. What I should have done, because I hadn't got a long on at that point, what I should have done is taken that S&P off and banked that $1,500 and gone, right, well, that's done. That pays for that. And then all I've got to do is worry about the Dow. Didn't do it today, so got myself into a bit more of a mess, haven't I? But good job if you got out. Same with the NASDAQ, but, you know, how many, it's always the way, isn't it? You look at it and you go, look at that. It's probably where it's going to bounce. Yeah. And then the days it goes straight through it, you go, oh, didn't bounce there. It just slammed through it. So if I'd have taken the shorts off there, I'd have been kicking myself when it got all the way down there, wouldn't I? Can't win. One of them's going to happen, isn't it? It's a 50-50 shot of it bouncing or not bouncing. Big sell order just coming on the Dow as well. There's a lot. This market is jittery. This is when you hear me say jittery market. When you're getting this, it's like this. If you're looking at a tick level, this thing's like that. It's a lot of volume coming through, a lot of panic in there. But, you know, it can turn on a dime and go the other way very, very quickly. And likewise, you get a massive, strong push. So anyway, today, couldn't it? It's in a loony mode. EA then placed pending order for buys. Must be because I have aggressive hedge exit set to true. Yes. So if you exit manually, if you took on the NASDAQ, when we broke short, you were hedged because obviously you went long, then we broke short. If you take those, close those out in profit, the EA will then assume we've hit target because we've taken profit, and it will then try to hedge you out. Today, if you'd have left those in place, you'd be laughing your head off now. Because it's doing exactly what we're expecting it to do. Hit our target and go back the other way. And that's exactly what we want to do. Put more size on to get out of the trade quicker. So yeah, if I'd have closed out the S&P there because I wasn't hedged long, it wouldn't have done that. It would have just gone, yeah, fine, we're out, we're done. Do as I say, not as I do, exactly. If I had done what I said, I would be a lot happier today, wouldn't I? Pound screaming to the upside. Pound Swiss, I've got an exit coming up. Approaching ADR. I might take that one off because I want to reduce this Swiss franc exposure a little bit. And there's absolutely no reason for that target. So normally I set TPs in propulsion gaps. This is one of those instances where you just have to look at it and go, doesn't make sense to target that propulsion gap because we've got this low, which we used as a resistance before we broke back down again. So it makes more sense that we're not going to get through that level. So that's why my TP is where it is. But I'm so close to the TP, it's not worth risking it just coming all the way back down again. So looking at these other Swiss franc pairs at the moment, we can see obviously this is Swiss franc weakness. This is why everything is pushing against the Swiss franc. Looks like we're starting to undo some of that movement that we've put into the safe haven ahead of all the news that we've got coming up. So it could well just absolutely fly. However, we know that as soon as a bomb is dropped on Israel by Jordan or anywhere else in the world, they're going to pile into the Swiss franc. So I'm just going to take that one off and bank it, because if I've got it in my bank, I can spend it. And I've also got loads of Swiss franc exposure on elsewhere, like Aussie dollar Swiss, for example. So, and New Zealand dollar Swiss. So I've still got Swiss franc exposure. Just reduce it down a little bit. God. These indices. Dow's coming back down again. Look. So we've just run into that propulsion gap, which they're buying back up again. So there's just so much selling and buying going on. This is why it's so erratic. You know, basically we just grab control and immediately grab it back. Grab control, grab it back. It's like a huge fight going on at the moment. It's all good fun, but I just wish they'd pick a direction and go with it and stay with it. At least then you know what to do. Buying it all back up again. Tricky today, very tricky. So pound US dollar, I've got an exit. So although I'm above my average price, that's my swap, basically. So after, is it 3 months? 19th of July, I got into this. We're on the 23rd of October. So I held it all the way through August, all the way through September, and pretty much all the way through October. I finally have an exit at break even. Euro Swiss ADR. So really weak Swiss franc. We're getting more into fear. Look, this is what worries me. If you look at Friday, yeah, we were sitting at 31, down to 28. Yeah, this means buy the Swiss franc. This means sell the Swiss franc. This is why I'm not convinced about this Swiss franc, why I wanted to reduce exposure on it. This market is not happy at the moment with what's going on. So this, although it's nicely rallying at the moment, not sure it's necessarily a move that's going to hold. So is my break even including swaps? The line on the chart is not, no. This line on the chart is your average price. It's not your average profit. It's not to do with profit, it's to do with price. So you'll have, see, look, now I'm $500 or odd in profit. But it's to do with the price, not the profit. It doesn't include swaps. I may look calm, but under the table, my legs are going like that. Because this is the first time I've seen a green figure on the pound US dollar for 3 whole months. And I'm loath to let go of it. I just want it to get up to there and bank me about 14, 15%. I'm going to regret this, you watch. Just watching these highs. This is a big rally. We're seeing a big potential sell-off on the US dollar at the moment. Just going to break even this US dollar Swiss. Just because it's coming down quite hard, obviously, at the moment, the US, and the Swiss franc at any moment could just power up on any negative views to do with the US, do with the Middle East. So if that breaks hard, the Swiss franc, and the US dollar is coming down at the same time, this is just going to collapse through the lows. I don't like it as a long. It's not gone anywhere. So I'm just going to break even that. I'd rather be out of it with nothing than stuck in drawdown on it. So looking at these US pairs, US dollar yen's coming down, US dollar Swiss is coming down. We know the Swiss franc is weak, so that shows you that the US dollar is weaker than the Swiss franc. So this is a very weak move. US CAD coming down, pound US dollar rallying, as we've just seen, euro US dollar rallying. So you can tell this is a massive US dollar sell-off going on at the minute. Hence, we got this big positive move going on in the indices. So we may well get this might be the start of the undoing of the move we've had for the last week or so, but we'll see. But watching this level here, got plenty of room to ADR as well. And if we can get through these highs, there's nothing to stop us until we get back up into that propulsion gap at 150 ADR. That's going to be worth something in the region of 6 to 8% for me. So holding at the moment, but watching like a hawk. Patience is a virtue. Yeah. When you become a position trader, you learn the hard way that patience is a virtue because you spend your entire life waiting. Well, it's trading in general, isn't it, really? It's not just position trading, it's just trading. Which is why human beings struggle so much with trading, because we are not patient creatures, most of us. So what we want is, I'm going to press the buy button now, and I want you to go to my TP now. Right this instance, please. Just go long, 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 take my profit so I can go and do something else. That's what our brain is saying, isn't it? But in reality, the market's going, I'm just going to flip-flop around for a couple of days, and then I'm going to go the other way. What normally happens. Okay, Dow's out the highs. Why is my... it's because I've got one position on. See, this is the thing with the EA is doing exactly what it should be doing now. I've got one long as far as it's concerned, because don't forget, it only took one trade on the Dow today. It should have taken 4. It's taken 1. I've taken the other 3 manually. So what it's doing is it's saying, I've only got one long on, because it can't see manual trades. It can only see the trades that it's taken, and it is in $1,500 of profit. So it is trailing exactly as it should be. Doing what it says on the tin. It's trailing exactly as I've asked it to. I'm just going to adjust that because I don't want actually that. I think the others are probably the same, yeah. I'm just going to, these trailers, I'd much rather they be wider, these trailing stops. And then I can, because I'm in here all the time trading, so I can manually adjust these. But I kind of want looser trailers on my positions rather than tight, because you get stopped out too quick. So I'm going to have to manually manage this one. It's going to be quite a tricky one to manage, this one today. Good job we made $1,700 on the DAX this morning, isn't it? Had to take the EA off because it's also wanted to trail longs. Yeah, so if you want to do that, the easiest thing to do is just click on that, go to common and untick allow live trading. and then bang, that's turned off. So that trailing stop now won't move because the EA is deactivated on this one. So you can let it run on the other three and just turn it off individually on each instrument. Exciting session. It is exciting. It's a movement, which is good. Considering I said this morning, if you're in the live room this morning, I was like, today's going to be incredibly boring and dull because we've got no news and everything's happening tomorrow, which is kind of what I said at the beginning of this session. But then obviously all hell's broken loose. ADRs now, pound Swiss, euro Swiss, Swiss franc getting trounced. So we're above ADR on the euro Swiss and the pound Swiss. As you know, I'm out of that one. I'm just going to stick my TPs at 4R on the Dow. If we can rally like that and get up to there, I think we're probably going to find some limit orders triggering at the high of the session. And that should be enough to bring this back down. We've just had repricing of the Bank of England interest rate rise to 50%. So we were talking about having another 25% interest rate rise on the pound because inflation is not doing as we want it to. So we're sitting at 6.7%. We've frozen. So CPI has gone up basically on what we were expecting. So the Bank of England have got room to maneuver here. Our unemployment is going up ever so slightly. They've got a chance basically, and they need to do it quick to put this up to 5.5, which should be enough to start this ticking back down again. So it looks like the market basically is pricing in a 50-50 chance of them doing that coming up. So news, when you look at the news, the euro rate we've got coming, the Canadian rate we've got coming on Wednesday, and then the euro rate we've got coming on Thursday. Obviously, the pound rate we haven't got for a few weeks now. So be interesting to see what happens with these because everybody's in the same boat at the moment with inflation basically and interest rates. So the inflation figures, as you can see with the Swissy, they started to tick up. The Canadian has slowed dramatically. We have frozen. The New Zealand has slowed. The US has frozen. Yeah, so the inflation figures, which were starting to come down nicely on the interest rate rises, have all started to kind of bottom out and slightly tick up, which means this isn't enough. But inflation doesn't come down in a straight line as you put up interest rates. It does come down very much like price. So it will have these little pullbacks because it doesn't just go like that. So what they're hoping is that this inflation figure that's starting to tick up in certain areas is just going to be a temporary thing. If we get 2 months in a row where we get CPI increase figures and the PMI figures, which are coming out tomorrow, are an indication of what the CPI will become, they will need to put interest rates up again. So we're not out of the woods yet. So things can change very quickly still. But market reacting quite nicely to that at the moment. Really tempted to take this off now, but I'm also, when you get a move that big, that fast, last 2 hours, solid buying on the pound, solid selling on the US dollar. If we can break out of that high, I think there's a chance we might get a rally started. But, indices are just starting to come down. Just going to cancel that stop loss off. So watching that propulsion move there, which is what we've bought now 3 times. So if we are going to flip-flop around here for a bit before we start a new leg, just want to see that not get broken, really, just to show us that we've still got plenty of buyers in control. But coming down hard again. There's not really any reason for sell here. Yeah, so we're turning in the middle of nowhere in no man's land. Better to turn there. I would understand sell order coming in there in the same way as we got the buy order coming in there, but no reason for it to turn kind of in the middle of nowhere here. So this is probably just a pullback. I'm just going to watch this pound US. So overall on the pound US, I think I'm around about 9% or something down. God, I'm just going to my library. So 19% in total. So 9%, 19%. So last month, last month, this was September's result was 8.5k loss, 8.5% loss, 19% on the pound US dollar. 9% of that was on aggressive drawdown control. So I lost 9% on aggressive drawdown control and 10% overall just on normal drawdown control. So I've banked back some of that this month on the pound US. So I've chipped away at that fairly nicely, but it's still, quite far in the hole, that pound US. So hence why I'm just kind of watching this at the moment. You can see the speed this is moving because of the amount of lot size I've got on this at the minute. There's a good chance if this can just do that, I could easily get 9 or 10% back out of this position, which obviously will put me on sort of a 25% month, which would be lovely. But I'm obviously watching this closely because what I do not want is sellers to step back in here and drive us all the way back down to the bottom. So I'm just going to watch this afternoon for the next couple of hours and just see if we can hold this level. Because if they carry on selling that US and we get positive claimant count figures tomorrow for the pound and the euro can rally tomorrow off of PMI, there's a good chance that this pound will be able to start a rally and we'll get up. There's nothing to stop this when we break these highs until we get all the way back up to this accumulation at the highs here. So this propulsion gap is target. So there's a lot of upside and a lot of potential profit on the table. So that's the only reason I'm holding this and kind of watching this one at the minute. I could also do aggressive drawdown control because one of those positions is worth, we've got six grand. So what I could do is close out that 6k, which is these two here, and then do some drawdown control on the higher positions. Another option, but I'll see what the price action does this afternoon. Indices are pulling back at the moment. If we can get a second leg up on the indices, that US will probably drop, which will give this another bit of a push as well. We've invalidated that low on the Dow. So we've just gone through that level. This can't be it, surely. Is it going to be a rotation day? All got exciting, then it all got boring again, didn't it? Just breeding. What? Now you're breeding. I don't want to know. Or is that breading? Not quite sure what you've said there. I'm not sure if you put that in the right group. Did you mean to type that into YouTube chat, or did you mean to type that into somewhere else? Joined late. Am I hedged in the Dow? I'm hedged in everything today, Robert. Yes. But the stock index hedge EA, for some reason, went wrong on the Dow today. So I've had to take manual positions on it. The others are all fine. It's just for some reason this didn't work. On this account, it's worked absolutely fine on my Prime account. Hasn't worked on the ECN for some reason. So I don't know why. It's an intermittent error. And I've had this with many EAs in the past that are scalping. I don't seem to find issues with others in the FX markets. It does seem to be isolated to index scalping. So I kind of get the feeling it's to do with volume, which is why you get chart freeze at the open as well. It's one of those things. I have no idea why. Especially when you're not using a TP. You know, you get the error message come up saying invalid stop loss or take profit. I'm not using any. How can it be invalid? I haven't asked you to put one. So it's just weird error you get every now and again. It's so infrequent. That's the first time I've had it in 3-4 weeks. Just happened to happen today. Breading useless candlesticks. Breeding useless candlesticks or breading useless candlesticks? Okay, so question is this the start of a second leg? If so, I really want to shut these shorts out. And if we can take that high out. So basically my hedge is that distance. So if I close out my shorts now and take the loss on them here, if price can move up the same distance as the break, that gives me a profit on the move. So the question is this a pullback long, or are we going into rotation? If we're going into rotation, that's the wrong move. If it's a pullback long, it's the right move. Maybe I'll try it on one. I'll try it on the NASDAQ. So I'm going to close the shorts on the NAS. God, what is going on with this execution? So close the shorts on the NAS. So I'm basically looking for 35 pips to the upside. Pre-market highs 44. So pre-market high basically on the NASDAQ will give me an exit at break even. The reason I'm looking for a break even exit is because the DAX this morning I've banked $1,700. So I'm just looking to try and get out of these three, not necessarily make a load of money on them, but just would be nice to get out of them all because you walk away with the profit on the day. I'm not going to do it on all three because if that is wrong, and this is just going to go into rotation, what I don't want to do is get all three of them into rotation because these two are nicely hedged in. And the NASDAQ is the fastest moving. So the NASDAQ will tell us whether or not this is a good move or not because it will go quicker. Aussie dollar Swiss, I'm super late today. Are you? Very naughty of you. Aussie Swiss. There's no ADR on it. So yeah, it's pushing up nicely at the moment. We've had a weak Swiss franc move this afternoon, but we had a strong Swiss franc move this morning. It's not really going anywhere at the minute, although it's going in the right direction. It's not necessarily moving. Euro and the pound seem a lot stronger at the moment. I just got out the pound Swiss long. Yeah, Aussie Swiss is stalling out. But yeah, don't know. Just targeting this nice area of balance up there we had for like a couple of weeks. But if we get up to these highs, depending on what my other Swiss franc exposure is when we get to these highs, I might just take that one off there. Just in case it goes into a range and doesn't come up and retest that level. Come on, indices, don't slow down now. Come on, let's get out the top. Okay, I'm stalling out a little bit at the moment. I did aggressive drawdown control at the low. Break even is today's high. Seriously contemplating taking a small loss. Yeah, if you want to get out, get out. It is your choice. Just realized I got trading stops on this as well. I don't want trading stops running. Getting a bit of resistance coming in now. Just feel like firefighting these at the moment. I just want to get out of this NASDAQ. Get that flat so I can just focus on these two. Bit tricky trading all three of them at the same time. Down the S&P, obviously, although they move very much the same, they are very different indices. So we can get lots of different movement on the Dow to the S&P. We can have them, one of them rallying while the other one's dumping. So we've got lots of earnings coming out tomorrow. So towards the end of the session today, we might get a lot of different price action on the two indices because there'll be Dow stocks being released tomorrow, or S&P stocks and vice versa, where we'll get buys and sells in individual indices, which won't be replicated across both of them. So it'd be nice to be able to just concentrate on these two and get this one done, and then I can look at levels to get out of these to the upside because they could well have different levels to exit today. But it's struggling a little bit to get higher now, which is slightly annoying. So just looking for a pre-market high test, really. US dollar's coming down hard. Oil's just tested the lows again and bought up again. Weakness in the yen as well. The US dollar and the yen both weakening at the same time by the looks of things. Pulling teeth today, isn't it? Oh. Very volatile. You get days like this where every single candlestick is like a battle. You can see this strong movement up and down constantly. Every single candlestick is like pushing down, pushing up, pushing down. Other days you'll be sitting here and price will just sit there and it will just gradually move up, move a little bit, then push a little bit more. And it's very, very slow price action. Today is incredibly jumpy. There's an awful lot of volume coming through. It's like the market's just kind of trying to get somewhere quick today. Just in case. We've got all the earnings coming out tomorrow. So this is probably just positioning ahead of tomorrow's moves. So all kicks off tomorrow pre-market. We've got 3M, Coca-Cola, General Electric, General Motors, Spotify, Verizon. Pre-market, and then just before the bell or just after the bell, we've got Google, Microsoft, Snap, and Visa. And then pre-market Wednesday, ADP, Boeing, Chicago Mercantile, and TFS. So there's a lot of big names coming out. AMC, Facebook. It's a big week for earnings this week. So a lot of movement on stocks. People getting positioned ready for those earnings reports. Probably why we've got so much volatility, and why we had so much volatility coming on the DAX this morning as well. So we're painting an inside bar. We've got 1 minute left on this candle, but at the moment we're looking like an inside bar. So the market's paused at the moment. Typical. Just as I take my position off, it decides to go into go slow mode. Ever think you've had one of those days? Turning into one of those days. Pound's holding up nicely. DAX is trying to get through new highs of the day as well. So that's Friday's low on the DAX. This propulsion move where we slammed through today. So we're reaching a potential resistance on the DAX as well. Market's just getting a little bit tired. So we're running into these orders here. It's basically, that's the Globex session. That's the Frankfurt Open. So this is where we started the sells today. So everybody that's sold today, if they're still in their positions, they're sitting at break evens now. So adding back in potentially at this level, look. Yeah, so just adding more shorts into this move. So it's whether or not we've got enough buyers to overpower the guys that started the shorts, and then they'll puke their longs, their shorts there, and we'll suddenly flip and reverse back the other way. But obviously then we're running into ADR. So can't see it getting much higher than this today. Would like it to break through if it can. Running into resistance on the pound US dollar as well. DAX is new high of the day. Go on, DAX. That will help us along. So we've got an inside bar. So basically, inside bar is a pause. So good setup. If you want to take a breakout play, an inside bar play is a good one. Either take a break of that candle or that candle to the high or the low. So this is basically just on a lower time frame. Imagine this on a lower time frame, and the last 10 candles are basically like that, contracting. And obviously they can't contract forever, so it will break one way or the other. So an inside bar is just basically a price contraction. You get another inside bar painted. That's a 2IB setup, which is a 2 inside bar, which is basically further contraction. Again, just calm before the storm. It will break one way or the other. Dow has just broken to the upside. DAX has broken to the upside as well. S&P and the NASDAQ both struggling. But all the other indices managed to get that break. So we should hopefully get dragged along with them. I know my luck, because this is the one I got out of. It'll stop. Dow's just pulled back. Closing this one out, I'm just going to take a 1% loss on this. Might be the right, might be wrong. Just going to take a loss on that. We're pulling back across the other indices. Can't get out that high at the moment, so just locking in a bit of a loss on that one. DAX, don't forget, the bank 1,600 on the DAX, taking $1,000 loss there. So I'm up 700 on the day with 2 hedges. So if I can come out the day basically with like a 1-2% loss, then that's for a day like this is a bloody good result. I can't work out which way this is going. We seem to have stalled at these highs. Still looks like there's a bit of weakness in the US dollar though, so that might not have been the right decision to make, but we'll see. Price action's certainly not conducive to going long at the moment, is it? So time with the idea of exiting longs on the S&P. Yeah, it's definitely a market execution issue. I've just got out the longs on the Dow on my other account. And those short orders that it's just placed were instant, absolutely instant. Do not get that execution on this account at all. So this issue where we're getting it's almost like the EA isn't quite getting through its entire script for some reason. I reckon it's terminal based, because that was instant. Might be time to look for a new broker. I was looking at Axie again, but spreads on Axie are just far too big. Not good for scalping. See, look at my spreads. I mean, there is no spread. I have literally no spread there. I've got a fixed spread on the NAS, on Axie. S&P, look at the size of that compared to the S&P spread. Virtually nothing on the S&P, no spread at all. Huge. It makes it very difficult to trade scalp when you're playing with a hedge, a spread that big. Dow as well. Dow's a little bit better, but nowhere near as good as Robo Forex. Spread is so much tighter. I think a spammer's just entered. Yes, there he is. I was just going to say, I think a spammer's just entered the Telegram group. And as I was saying it, here comes Mr. Spam. 3-in-1 EA. Only 4,999 Rand. $280. Who wants this, guys? I can make a plan for your... Bye-bye. Brighton's given to the banhammer. Love spammers. Wrong decision on the NASDAQ. It's going to be one of those days today. I can see it coming. Pepperstone. I used to use Pepperstone years ago. It's all about the spread. When you're trading, when you're scalping, it's all about the spread. But that's cheap. Go for it. The Lamborghini's way. I know, $289. Makes me think I'm selling everything I sell far too cheap. I suppose if you're trying to make your living selling scam EAs, then you need to sell them for a decent amount of money, because it's the only income you've got, isn't it? So I guess that's why all these EAs out there are so expensive, because that's how they make their living. Not really getting... shouldn't have closed that NAS, look. It's going to hit the pre-market high. So that was going to be my break-even exit, which is, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, just watch this high for a potential bounce on the NAS. The S&P, we are not making new highs, and the same with the Dow. So NASDAQ is divergent with the other two indices at the moment. So one of these is in control. It's either the NASDAQ or the Dow. So one of them is going to do the same as the other. At the moment, we've got lower highs on the S&P and higher highs on the NASDAQ. So we'll go one way or the other. But we'll see. Just struggling at the minute, isn't it? So I think what I'm going to do, it's not a great day today. Market's been very volatile and very whippy. So with the S&P, I'm going to let this run long, if it's going to run long, obviously. Watch the pre-market high. If we get out that pre-market high, I will take those off at ADR and then try and exit the hedge short on a pullback a bit later on this afternoon. If it's just going to do this and muck about, obviously it's just a loss. So I'll just take a loss on the S&P. Same with the Dow. Pre-market high is 4R. ADR is up there. So if we can get up to that pre-market high, I will get out of that one and try and get out on a hedge. See where we go from there. But again, if it's going to do that, see. Just DCA'd in. So the Dow, I've just closed this on the other account, because on the other account, the only thing I've got running at the moment is the Dow. So I've just closed the Dow out, literally somewhere in this candle. So I'm trailing pendings on the Dow to get into a short. So as soon as we get some bear price action on that, I'm going to average in and try and get out of the Dow. Again, made a lovely profit on the DAX this morning. But it's not really going anywhere, is it now? We're stuck. So that's the plan today. If we fall out the bottom for any reason and collapse, then obviously, yeah, we've got a good chance. If we break that low today, we will flush. But we're going to be flushing straight into ADR. So it's highly unlikely we're going to hit that target to the downside. So it's either going to hit that and bounce, or go up to ADR and bounce today, I think. Or we're just going to sit in rotation. So if we sit in rotation, it'd be a loss today, unfortunately. If we get those highs, hopefully we'll be able to just get out of both of these. That's the plan. Guys, NASDAQ, look, it's playing. My TP was still not hit on this. Still would have been playing around with me. We've really run out of volume, haven't we? So we'll see what happens after lunch. We might get a reversal on it later. So if we can get a little bit more push on both of those to get out, then hopefully we'll get an afternoon reversal. But not a great day today. Bit of a mess. Overall, I'm up, though. I'm up $700 at the moment. And obviously got hedges to the tune of $3,000. So I'm hedged into $3,000. So that's the maximum loss I can have today, is 2,300, because I've got 700 banked. So 2.3% loss is max today. If it doesn't go anywhere, what can you do? Right, I will leave it there today. I'm going to watch the pound US. We've gone into complete crazy, no idea where we're going mode again on the pound US as well. So that's in a nice profit now, this pound US. If I can bank a decent move on this today, i.e. if we can get an ADR hit, I might look at just taking some of this off and doing some DD control. I might just close the entire thing. As I say, it doesn't owe me anything because it's an old trade and it's done, but it would be nice to get 3 or 4% out of this today. If we can break this high, we will get a run above ADR today. And once we get that, there's a good chance that we will fill that propulsion gap. I'm not sure it's going to do it today, but I think if we can get this high broken and we get positive claimant count news tomorrow morning, I think there's a good chance we get a rally off the pound tomorrow. We could have a double ADR day, which is exactly what I've been waiting for to get out. So we'll see where we go with it, but just going to watch that one. I'm loath to let this go. If we can break that high, we'll get a little pop. If we can get a little pop that can break that high, we're off. So I envisage that kind of movement. So we will pull back on it. So we've got to get this rally continued, though. So we want more US dollar weakness this afternoon. So I'm just going to watch that one. Apart from that, there's nothing really else I can get out of or do anything with. The Swiss franc positions are undoing a little bit. But again, nothing dramatic there. Euro New Zealand is the other thing that's kind of gone into drawdown based on the New Zealand dollar push. So I've got 5 on that short now. But it is starting to roll over, but it's held up last week's high. So hoping for negative PMIs tomorrow morning for the Eurozone. But we will see. We've got Governor Bullock speaking tomorrow morning as well at 9 o'clock. That's a bit of an odd time for the Aussie to be talking. I suppose that's 9 p.m. Australia, isn't it? So that's why that's not. We don't normally get evening talking heads from Australia, so a bit of an odd one to have slap bang in the middle of tomorrow morning. But that will be a precursor to the CPI, so we may get some clues tomorrow morning as to what the CPI figure is expected to be, and more importantly, what they will do if we get increased CPI. So if we get talking heads tomorrow saying if the CPI figure comes out higher than expected, we will increase our interest rates. We know we're going to get a big rally on that tomorrow. So we might get some clues there. So it's worth watching that tomorrow morning. We'll have a look at Financial Juice in the morning while that's coming out. Apart from that, we've had no more news today. We are rallying now. NASDAQ's broken the high. So there you go. Debatable. I can't remember where I put my target. There you go. That would have hit my target. So there you go. So I would have been out of that with a break even, which is a shame. But never mind. So everything else is rallying. So holding these, we'll see where we go. All right, I'll leave it there. Anything else you need, let me know. I will be back tomorrow morning, same time, 7:50 for the Frankfurt session, and obviously back tomorrow for New York at 2:20 as usual. Probably taking Wednesday off this week, just to pre-warn you, because it's half-term holidays here in the UK. So going to be off doing stuff for the kids and that. So nice rejection out of that pre-market high there, look. There we go. So that's what I was looking for, limit order triggers at the highs. So this could be where we start the sell-off. So yeah, so I might not be here Wednesday. I'm still debating. We're looking at the weather, really, see what we can do. It's the UK. Changes every 24 hours. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. If you need anything, I'll be in Telegram. Other than that, have a good evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.